And we've got Robin Kraft here today from the Center for Global Development, who's going to help to shed a little bit of light on this very complicated issue. Center for Global Development is a nonprofit research organization based in Washington, D.C. Robin is one of their researchers. Thanks for being with us today, Robin. And can you just give, Robin, I'll say first of all, Robin has helped create a program called FORMA, the Forest Monitoring for Action Plan. So we're going to get a quick look at that. And that plan is being used in Indonesia, which is one of the forest hotspots around the world. So Robin, if you can give us a little bit of background on what's going on in Indonesia, why the forest matters so much in Indonesia, and then we'll talk a little bit about FORMA.
Great. So what's going on in Indonesia basically comes down to economic development that is driving the Indonesian economy that's heavily on paper production and palm oil plantations. So you have people converting pristine rainforest into different types of products. So turning a forest into an acacia plantation, which then turns into paper, or converting rainforest into a palm oil plantation, which is then used for various things, from food to biofuels. So this is, one of the complexities with this is that you are replacing forest with another type of vegetation, but the problem is that in the process, in Indonesia, you are destroying peat forests. What peat is the reason peat is important is that you have a lot more CO2 stored in those types of forests below the soil that is then released into the atmosphere than you would in a regular forest, so to speak, that is not over peatland. And so you have far more CO2 per hectare being released from peatlands in Indonesia than you would, say, in the Brazilian Amazon.
Is that why you guys started your project with first looking at Indonesia? Because it's, in a sense, the deforestation there is an even bigger problem than deforestation would be in other countries.
That's part of the reason, yes. In Brazil, they actually have a very good monitoring system built by the government already, and due to different characteristics of the Brazilian Amazon, it's easier to do it there, to do forest monitoring there using satellites, which is what we do. Indonesia, on the other hand, has a lot of clouds, which makes it difficult to analyze the satellite information, and then on top of that, you have this massive carbon sink in peatlands that you really don't want to see destroyed. So we're focusing on it for technical reasons, but also just because it's so important to look at what's going on in Indonesia.
Okay, so give us a little rundown. We're going to show a video here in a moment that sort of tells a little bit more about your project. Tell the viewers what they're going to see.
Okay, so what you're going to see is a YouTube video that we produced that basically gives an overview of the FORMA system. What we do is take satellite information that tells you what the ground looks like from space, what color it is, how much vegetation there is, and look for patterns in how that information changes over time. So what was once dense forest looks really green and then turns brown, and experienced fire activity is much more likely to have been deforested or lose forest cover, however you want to call it. So that's what the FORMA system does. It looks for patterns in satellite data in order to identify hotspots of deforestation, and then we put that information freely available online for people all over the world to be able to access. This is something that we're developing for Indonesia now. It's in prototype form. It was just released online a few weeks ago, and we're also looking to expand it to the entire tropical biome.
Right.
So, sorry, in the video you're going to just see an overview of how the system works, and see some animations that show how probable deforestation, how likely deforestation spreads over the landscape according to the satellite data that we're using.
Okay, great. So maybe we can run that video now.
This is Robin Kraft with the Center for Global Development. I'm here to talk to you about Forest Monitoring for Action, or FORMA. FORMA uses freely available satellite data to identify deforestation in the tropics each month, and displays that information with online maps. FORMA is designed to make it easier to identify where and when deforestation is occurring in tropical countries. It currently identifies deforested areas in Indonesia for each square kilometer of forest, or about 1/3 of a square mile, each month since the end of 2005. We are currently extending FORMA to the rest of the tropics and exploring improving the resolution to 250 meters. In making this information freely accessible online, our aim is to help environment ministries, local forest conservation NGOs, or even international organizations like the UN or World Bank make better decisions about forest management and conservation. By better understanding the geographic and temporal dynamics of deforestation, we can better understand why it happens and where it is likely to happen next. To illustrate, we'll zoom into a section of Indonesia, the island of Sumatra, to a province called Riau. In the year 2000, this part of Riau was still heavily forested, as we can see here in green. However, this province has experienced intense forest clearing over the last 10 years due to the conversion of tropical rainforest to oil palm plantations. Between 2000 and 2005, according to a recent study, nearly 7,000 square kilometers of forest were cleared in this area, shown here in brown. This is about a quarter of the forested area. But there is very little information about what has happened since 2005, certainly none for each month. This is where FORMA comes in. Using techniques described on our website, FORMA produces estimates each month of where new deforestation has occurred and adds them to maps now available online. Adding the latest FORMA data to this map, we see different colors from yellow to red, showing an increasing probability that a given square kilometer was deforested sometime from the end of 2005 to October 2009. More interestingly, because of FORMA's monthly updates, we can construct a dynamic illustration of the spread of deforestation across the region over 4 years. This allows us to examine the efficacy of forest management practices by showing the geographic frontier of deforestation and how it responds to conservation efforts. The following animation shows where and when forest destruction occurs each month from the end of 2005 to October 2009. Remember, yellow to red pixels represent lower to higher probability of deforestation. This is just a tiny slice of the information we've made available in Google Maps on our website, and coming soon in Google Earth. We will soon extend FORMA to more countries, and will release new maps each month as we analyze the most recent satellite data available. Please visit our website at cgdev.org/forest to find out more about FORMA and to browse the latest maps.